love a good polar fleece blanket, and I am an absolute sucker for the prints that come out, especially during the holidays. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't love the process of making the tie blankets where you cut all the little slits and then you tie them in double knots. By the time I am done with that, my back hurts, my hands ache, and I hate when those knots come undone and you have to retie them. And then let's not even talk about when you get to the side where it's stretchy versus the side that's not. I don't know. Tie blankets are great. They really are. But I'm going to show you an even better way to make these fleece blankets. And if you can sew a straight line, you can make this in under 30 minutes. It's so simple, so easy. You get a nice professional finished look when you're all done. It's not going to come apart. It's not going to come undone. And let me tell you another thing. This is a great practice project. So if you're new to sewing, or if you just haven't sewn a lot, this is a great blanket to practice on because it's very forgiving. It is very simple and easy to do. Like I said, straight lines is all we're gonna do today. And we're gonna make this fleece blanket. I mean, this vintage Christmas, I got this at Joann's. And then we've got the matching vintage deer on the back. It's just so cute and soft and cuddly. So let's get going. I'm gonna show you step by step how to make this so you can go take advantage of the good holiday sales, get some fleece, and make some blankets. Okay, to get started, you want to work on any surface where it's big and flat. So big enough to lay this out on. I'm using my cutting table. You can use a kitchen table, your island, your floor, your bed, whatever surface you have to work with is going to work just fine. So lay either print down with your right side facing up. So you can tell the difference. See here on the back, it's a little bit more muted and it's not quite as soft, and you can see by looking at those selvage edges where the print is. Now take your other piece of fleece and lay with the right sides together. And don't worry about the selvage edges. The width of your fleece should be about the same, and you want to match up the bottom or the top, one end or the other, doesn't matter. But lay it out so it's nice and smooth before we get started with the sewing. Once you've matched up your bottom, head over to your sewing machine, and we're going to start, and we're using a walking foot. Now, if you don't have a walking foot, that's okay. A regular presser foot will work. However, if you have a walking foot, I would recommend using it for this project. I'm going to just start sewing around the entire outside edge. You're going to want to leave a spot at the top or the bottom. Actually, it doesn't even matter where you leave it for turning. And what you're going to end up doing is you're going to turn right sides out when we're all said and done. So you want to leave, I would say, an 8 to 10 inch gap, because you don't want to leave it too tight that you're pulling and tugging it through. You want it to fold out really nice and easily. Keep in mind here, I am sewing along the selvage edge, and you'll be able to tell this when you're looking at your polar fleece. The selvage edge usually has some writing on it, and it also has a strip that is just plain white, and you'll see some little holes. You want to make sure you're sewing beyond those little holes. You don't want to leave those in the blanket. We're going to cut all of that off when we're all said and done here. So just keep sewing along the sides, the top, and the bottom. Leave that opening somewhere along the blanket. I'm leaving mine on the bottom edge. Like I said, 8 to 10 inches opening. Once you have sewed all the way around, you're going to trim off any excess. This is the bottom half where they didn't quite match up. The length was just a little bit off, but it's not a big deal. Just trim off the excess. And we're going to go along those selvage edges too. This is going to help eliminate some of that bulk, because we've got not quite an inch here of excess. You want to make sure as you're trimming, I'm lining up my ruler here on the edge of my stitching, and I'm leaving about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance all the way around the blanket. Okay, once you've trimmed the selvages and the edges, and you've got about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance all the way around, you're going to go to where you left that opening. Okay, then we're going to turn it right side out. Biggest thing I like to do is grab the corners to make sure the corners all pop out nice. So you may want to start at the top depending on the size of your blanket. Just reach up in there. It's so cozy. It's already cozy. And just start pulling those corners out. Once you get the 4 corners out, it's easy. It's just gonna flip so simply. Okay, so I've got the 2 top corners out. You just Turn it right side out. And this is why I like to leave plenty of room for turning so that you're not fighting with it the whole time. You don't want to have to be pulling and tugging. You want it to easily turn right side out. And then I put my hand in again in all four corners. And I just pop those corners out with my finger so that you get that nice crispy point there on the corner. Now we gotta reach all the way up to the top. Do the same thing to the top too, because otherwise they'll look like that. You wanna make sure to pop them out first before we do the top stitching. Okay, so then what you're gonna do, you wanna turn the raw edges in. Now you have that 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. It should just naturally want to turn down into the blanket. We're gonna clip that. I always like to put one clip on each end so I just know where that opening ends and begins. And then you just want to make sure to keep your edge straight and clip along the open part. And then we are going to top stitch all the way around the top edge of this blanket, which is going to close this opening, and it's going to just give it a nice finished look all the way around. All right, you just start, and I'm going to continue to use my walking foot. It just works so well with the polar fleece. If you don't have a walking foot, that's okay. You can use a regular foot. So we're just sewing right along the edge for our top stitch. And as I'm working, I'm just gonna make sure as I'm going along that I can kind of see that that seam is right in the middle here. Now we're getting to where that opening is. So you wanna make sure as you remove the clips that your edges stay folded inside. So you may want to use your hand there just to kind of hold it. It should stay. Just remove one clip at a time as you do this part. When you get to that corner, when you're about 1/4 inch away from the edge, leave your needle in the down position, lift up your foot, and just turn your fabric. You just pivot till you're going along the other edge, and then you just continue to sew until you've done this all the way around the outside edge of your blanket. Here is the finished look. You have a nice clean top stitch all the way around that outside edge. And you have the cutest, coziest fleece blanket. This is the one side, and then this is the back. And now you don't have to worry about any of those knots coming undone and having to retie them. If you enjoyed this video, be sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the videos that I have coming your way soon.